Hi everyone, and welcome to the Cook with Janie kitchen. Today I am going to be making you a fantastic, delicious, world famous curry. It is from our Indian cookbook. Rosie Lalji and I wrote Fast and Easy Indian Cooking back in 2009, and it was so popular immediately, and over the years has had lots and lots and lots of people fall in love with Indian cooking because of the recipes in that book. Hi everybody who's coming on, it's so nice to see you all, and welcome to Fast and Easy Indian Cooking. Today our Indian week continues, and yesterday I made ghee. Last night, with the little leftover bits of solids in the bowl, I actually used it and added some water and then steamed some rice, and so I got a beautiful buttery ghee steamed rice for our dinner last night, and that's what I'll probably do again today to go with my chicken in yogurt, and it is a wonderful recipe. What I'm going to do is show you the ingredients here, and I'll read them out to you so that you know what's happening. It looks like a long list. In actual fact, for an Indian recipe, it's a really short list, and it's a very simple recipe. Loads and loads of people from all over the world have had this become one of their Indian favorites, if not the Indian favorite in their families. So we start out with some onions and fresh green chilies. These are cayenne chilies. So if you're using another kind of chilies, then make sure that you adjust for the heat of them. And we've got ginger, coriander, garlic, olive oil or coconut oil, ground cumin, ground coriander, ground turmeric. Those are all dried spices. And then we've got sea salt, water or chicken stock, and chicken itself, and tomato puree, and Greek yogurt, which I just finished making before we started this video. And so I just wanted it to be fresh and lovely for you. So what we're going to do today, I'll just move that off here. Can I give that to you, John? Lovely, thank you. And now what we're going to do is get started on our recipe. So, hi everyone, I haven't had a chance to say hello to you all individually because so many names flew on today, so it's great. So what we've got is we've got some onions. It's 150 grams of onions. So I'm just going to go to my weighing scale here. And, oh, I must have unplugged my Thermomix. And here we are, weighing scale, back to the home screen and then to the scales. So I've got 150 grams of peeled onions here. I think it's about that amount. Oh look, it might just be perfect. 159 will definitely do. And I've got some coriander. It's 10 grams of coriander. I know that's 10 grams, you don't need to weigh that. 10 grams of garlic. It's about 3 garlic cloves, which are peeled, and I'm popping those in. I've got 2 green cayenne chilies here, and they're going in. And as I said, make sure if you're using something else that's a hotter chili that you reduce the number of chilies, or you take the seeds out perhaps to reduce the spicy heat, or you can actually leave the chilies out and it will still taste beautifully delicious. We've also got 20 grams of ginger here, so I'll press the scales to 0. And let's just see what we've got here. Oh, 19, 20. Got a few little extra bits, and I've chopped them up. They might as well add a bit of extra flavor. I don't like wasting things, so I tend to use things and be a little bit flexible in my recipes, which is great fun. And it also means that you're using your ingredients well. And now I'm going to add my oil. So it's 40 grams of olive oil or coconut oil. This is olive oil, as you can see. 40 grams-ish. And that can just go up here. And then I'm going to put the lid on, and it's going to just be chopped for 10 seconds at speed 5, which is really quick. And then I will show you what all these ingredients look like when they've been chopped for just that few seconds. and I'm chopping them with the oil. I'll explain why in a moment. So that's all your chopping done for you. Oh, thank you for the compliment about looking lovely, Miriam. I'm wearing my sari today. I'll take my apron off later and show you. I love this sari. I got it when we were traveling in India. So here we are with all of our chopped ingredients, fabulously quick and easy and so beautifully chopped. It is quite something that your Thermomix can chop so many different things actually, all at the same time and all perfectly. And I'm going to have to be careful because I don't want to get onion eyes by looking in my Thermomix bowl. And quite often I don't even bother looking in because I know that it'll be chopped beautifully. And then I don't get any onion eyes, which is a real bonus. And now I'm just going to saute this, and I'm going to saute it for 8 minutes. 8 minutes, right up to varoma temperature. And then just one click, speed spoon, or the gentle stirring. Hi, Sam. And nice to see all of you coming on. If I haven't said hello to you by name, then please know you are incredibly welcome. And thank you for coming on and joining me today. And to all of the people who will watch this later, after we've done the live. So we've got in here now, so far, we've got onions, green cayenne chilies too. We've got 20 grams of fresh ginger sliced into coins along the lines on the skin. I don't even bother peeling my ginger because I know it's going to be absolutely fine to use that skin. It's got lots of lovely ingredients, what should I say, nutrients in the skin, and we don't have to peel them off, which is great. And I'm just going to tell John what to do for the cooking of our make ahead version. So I have something to show you later. It's 18 minutes. Let me just check. Yes, 18 minutes, 100, reverse speed spoon. So you're getting ahead on the recipe there because you know what the cooking of the chicken and the yogurt and the tomato paste at the end is going to be. But we'll come to that again. So the ginger. Yes, I don't bother peeling my ginger unless it makes a dish look particularly nice. And in this dish, you won't be able to tell that the ginger has its skin on. I was lucky and I got a great big bag of organic ginger just about a week ago, so I have lots in my fridge. I've even tried planting some in my garden to see if it will grow. I don't know whether the UK climate will allow for that, but hopefully I'll get some beautiful ginger flowers and stems and maybe some increase of the roots and be able to harvest some of my own organic ginger this summer. It certainly has been hot weather here, and we've really enjoyed the benefits of that in the garden. So that was our ginger, then garlic. I did peel that because I'm not blending this sauce. If I'm not blending a sauce, I often don't bother peeling the garlic. If I am blending a sauce, pardon me, then I often don't bother peeling the garlic because, again, there's lots of nutrients in those lovely little skins, and it makes it easier, much less work for you, the cook. So olive oil or coconut oil, either one is fine. And if any of you are vegetarians and you're thinking, why should I bother watching this recipe? It's chicken and yogurt after all. Well, there is a fabulous benefit of making sauces and meat dishes in your Thermomix in that you actually make most of the sauce first. I find that most of my meat dishes in the Thermomix, I add the meat later, so I've made all the sauce part first, which means that when I get to the point where the sauce is all put together, I can take a ladle, scoop out enough for 1 or 2 portions, put it in a saucepan, add some chickpeas or some tofu or some vegetables, mixed vegetables, gorgeous. And then you've got your vegetarian dish cooked with no extra effort, which is great, especially if you're cooking for vegetarians regularly. It's a really good tip to know. And the sauce on this recipe is so gorgeous. I'd hate for anybody that doesn't eat chicken to not make it So please do go and have a look at doing that sort of a tip partway through. So the next thing that we're going to do in a few minutes when this has sauteed is add our spices. And in actual, aubergine and yogurt, wow, what a great idea. Thank you very much. That would be really, really lovely in this yogurt sauce. So before we talk about the spices, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the background to this recipe. Rosie Lalji and I, did a cookbook in 2009. We co-wrote a cookbook that actually took us 3 years of effort to put it together, believe it or not. It was loads of work, a lot of fun. Our families and friends were totally delighted that we did it. And that was a ring-bound book for the TM31. And year before last, we actually spent ages and ages putting together the recipes again, updating them with our 10 years of experience and flavor abilities, and putting them together into a beautiful, beautiful hardback book, which is Fast and Easy Indian Cooking. And it's available on amazon.co.uk. Actually, there's a special offer there for June, so you might want to take advantage of that if you're a Prime member. And it's also available on cookwithjanie.com in our shop. So there we are. I'll pop that back there. And we did, a question, John. Yes.
Yeah, there's some discussion going on about the yogurt.
Yes.
So Wendy asked, what yogurt do you use?
Yes.
Claire replied and said, I make this sauce quite often. I use dairy-free yogurt.
Yes.
And either add vegetables or tofu. But
yes.
Do you want to just say what yogurt you use?
The yogurt that I'm going to use today, I'll just lean over and get it for you so you can see it, is my homemade Greek yogurt, which I have done just as I said. I made the yogurt last night and let it ferment or culture overnight. And then I put it in the fridge for a couple of hours this morning, and then I strained it so that the whey came out and we're left with a beautiful, thick, creamy, rich Greek yogurt. And you can also use the fermented yogurt in your TM6 if you have a TM6. You can use the fermenting function and make 2 liters of yogurt, and then go to Liza Rooks Skoufaris's blog. I've got a link in that from when I did a video on the Greek yogurt. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. You can see that on Facebook Live on Cook with Janie. And that link will show you how to make your beautiful TM6 fermented yogurt into a Greek yogurt. So, another question.
I know, and
yes.
Actually Liza's just said that Fast and Easy Indian Cooking is one of her favourites.
Oh, that's nice, Liza. I'm so glad you like it. We love it. We had so many compliments on it. It was really, truly a bestseller. And Rosie and I were very proud, very humbled, actually. And really, really, really enjoyed the adventure of creating that book and then recreating it and making it even better in the hardcover version. Yes.
So Janie, can you remind us what we're doing again in the Thermomix right now?
Right now we're sauteing the onion, garlic, ginger, coriander leaves, and chilies in the olive oil. And we're just sauteing that until it gets really nicely done. And of course, this would be used standing at the stove and stirring for ages, because it would take you a long time to get this to saute down perfectly. And right now, it's super easy. I'm chatting to you. I could be making myself a cup of tea or coffee. I could be answering the doorbell. Hopefully it won't ring during this. And I could be writing an email or helping the children with homeschooling if you've got kids at home and you're doing that right now. There's lots and lots of things that you can use this extra time that Thermomix gives back to you. And I love it for that. So next is our spices. And I've got a little dish of spices. Oh, look at that. What timing. So I'll just take the lid off here. You can see that steam. Lift it off carefully and let the drips go back down into your Thermomix bowl. And you might be able to hear the sizzle. I'm not going to tip it towards you. Oh, maybe I can. Yes, I can. So if you can see that, it's sizzling away here. Really, really lovely. So that's my basis for the curry. And what I'm going to do now is I've got 2 teaspoons of ground coriander, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, I've got some turmeric, ground turmeric, and I've got some fine sea salt. Actually, this one's pink salt. So now what I'm going to do is, without touching the blades, without letting it get onto the blades, I'm going to just tip it into the Thermomix bowl there. And I'm going to saute that for 3 minutes. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. And again on Varoma and speed 1, just to get it moving a little bit more. And of course, here you are again. You don't have to do this stirring in. And at this point, your spices are quite dry and they actually suck up some of the moisture of your onion and garlic base that you've cooked. And in a saucepan, it's quite difficult to stop that from catching and potentially burning. In here, it's really, really easy. So I'm going to show you those spices. So I have some roasted ground cumin that I actually did in my Thermomix. I roasted the seeds. I'll turn it around so you can see it through there. And I actually roasted them in the Thermomix, and then I ground them and popped them into a jar. And I do that probably every 3 months or so, because I love the fragrance of your own ground spices. Freshly roasted, it's amazing. And this is ground turmeric, and it's ground literally from the really hard turmeric roots. And buying the whole spices means that when you grind them, you've got much fresher spices for flavor and fragrance for your food. And also it means that it's cheaper, which is really good. And here's my ground coriander here. So a really lovely jar of coriander, and I love the fragrance and flavor of coriander. So I know it says in the recipe 2 teaspoons of each of the coriander and the cumin. My teaspoons were a bit rounded actually, so a little bit higher than a flat teaspoon because I love the flavors. If your family isn't actually used to doing Indian spicing in your food, just stick with the level measurements and that'll just be a great introduction. You might also like to know that the instructions on how to do all those spices and prepare them all, they are all in Fast and Easy Indian Cooking. We've added a wonderful new section here which tells you not only the spice mixes like Madras curry powder and garam masala, but how to do all of the individual ground spices. Let me see if I can catch that without the reflection on the page. So you've got lots of beautiful things, and it just gives you lots of ways to roast them, and even how to grind up your different dals, and that's rather wonderful. So tips and hints that I don't think are available very many places other than in that book. Enjoy using those and taking more advantage of your Thermomix for extra flavor and extra freshness with your spices, and for saving money, which is also good. So this is just cooking down now. It's on the last few seconds, and then what I'm going to do is add some water. Now you might be thinking, why do you add water when it's just spices that have sauteed in there with the onion and garlic mixture? Here we are with the sizzling again. And the reason that we add the water, come to the scales, there we are, and it's just 100 grams. Oh, actually, I could probably show you this first. And then you could see these spices are actually beautifully, that's better, thank you, John. Beautifully browned off, really. Hopefully they're not cross, they're just being beautifully browned. And here we are. I'm going to take it to 0 and add 100 grams of water. There we are, 100 grams. And then we're just going to cook that again. And I'll set the time for that. That is 5 minutes, Varoma speed 1. So say goodbye to the scales again. I love my scales on the Thermomix. And here we are, 5 minutes. Aroma and speed 1. So now what this is going to do, and then I'll answer some questions for you, John. This is actually going to cook out your spices. That's what Indian cooks and chefs will call it. In order to make your spices beautifully flavored and not, what would you say? You know how sometimes you make Indian food and if you put everything in and you cook it all at once, you get this sort of raw spices, not very pleasant flavor. Well, this step of adding the water to your sauteed spices and onion and garlic base is actually going to cook out those spices properly, and it does it beautifully in your Thermomix. And again, this is the third time. I'm not standing at the stove and stirring endlessly, and I can do other things. Really fabulous benefit of the Thermomix. And once we've done this, we'll be adding our final ingredients. And John, you have a question.
Yes, Leslie asks, is there a particular reason why you are using fine sea salt instead of flakes?
Yes, because when I do my recipes, I specify whether it's fine sea salt or flakes. The reason being that if you think about it, fine sea salt packs up closer together. So then you'll know exactly that you've got sort of 5 to 6 grams of sea salt in your teaspoon. It's a good tip to know that amount, that weight, because if you prefer to use sea salt flakes, then you can use 5 to 6 grams instead of a teaspoon, a level teaspoon. And that's a great tip for you for general recipes. Sea salt flakes, a teaspoon would probably only weigh about 3 grams, you see, depending on how big they are and how they sit in your teaspoon. So that's the reason, Leslie. Thanks. And another question.
So, Jenny, once we finish this step, what
Yes.
will we be adding after that?
After this, we will be adding the chicken, the Greek yogurt, somebody asked about Greek yogurt, and the tomato puree, or some people call it a tomato concentrate, some people call it a tomato paste. It's not just pureed tomatoes, it's actually thickened pureed tomatoes. So I made this last week, and it's been in the fridge. I actually had loads and loads of ripe red tomatoes. I was really lucky and got lots. And I made ketchup, and I made sweet chili dipping sauce, and I made this tomato sauce, tomato puree, and I reduced it down. So my 1.5 liters of tomatoes cooked down, so it was 750 mils on the side of the bowl, and then I blended it and put it into jars. Really great. And a really nice thing to do now that the summer is coming up and we're heading into the bounty of lots of beautiful, ripe, fresh tomatoes from the garden, the farmer's market, or even the supermarket. Yes.
This is a question for me, Jenny.
Yeah.
This recipe is chicken thigh meat,
Yes.
and presumably that the timings will vary according to the meat.
Yes. Today I'm using chicken thigh meat, and that will take 18 minutes to cook, which you already know, because I gave John the hint earlier. And if you prefer to use chicken breast meat, then it would be about 15 minutes, maybe 16 minutes to cook it. And it'll vary a tiny bit depending on how big or small you cut up your chicken. And so when I say in here, cut in 2 to 3 centimeter pieces, that gives you the right size for the timings. And that's worthwhile looking at when you're doing Thermomix recipes. And now, at this point, if you were going to make this with another main protein, like chickpeas or cooked lentils, or your tofu that Claire mentioned, or fish. I know Wendy loves having fish. This would work as well. And fish definitely wouldn't take very long to cook in the sauce. So at this point, when this step is finished, in less than a minute now, you could actually just add your tomato puree, your concentrate, we call it tomato paste in Canada, and then also your Greek yogurt. If you only have normal plain yogurt, you'll probably find that the sauce is quite a lot more runny, because Greek yogurt has taken out about 40% of the liquid from the yogurt by straining it. And you can look back to the videos I did a couple of weeks ago when I did a week on dairy things. And I show you on one day how to make yogurt, and on another day how to make Greek yogurt, which is so good. I mean, I could actually take a spoon, and between John and me we could probably eat this whole 500 grams of yogurt in one sitting. No problem. So now what I've got is our sizzling spices, and I won't tip this one towards you because it's got hot oil and the liquid in it from adding the water to cook off the spices. But what I'm seeing when I look in is I'm seeing that everything looks beautifully cooked, and there's a little sheen of red oil on top, which is really, really lovely. And it tells you that's what Indian cooks look for when they know that their spices are cooked out and their onion and garlic mixture is all properly cooked. And this is where you know that you're going to have lots and lots of flavor in your finished dish. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add the chicken. I'll go to the scales, and you can hear that the other one, to show you, is just finishing now. That was the sound effects. It wasn't an echo. So here we are. Let's just touch this again to 0. And I'm going to add in 600 grams. I bought some chicken thighs with skin and bone, and I chopped off the meat this morning. And hang on a sec, let's just see. Hopefully this is about 600. We're pretty close. Look at that, 565. That'll do nicely. And I've saved the skin and the bones to make chicken stock. And there is a recipe for a really easy chicken stock on my blog on cookwithjanie.com. And actually, since I've used this one and it's already been used at the prep stage, get myself untangled here, I'm just going to add my tomato paste. There we are, that was pre-weighed. And here's my 500 grams of beautiful Greek yogurt. And there that goes in. And we'll just give that a little scoop to get it out as well. There we are. You can see how lovely and thick that is. It's really nice. And I'll just pop those over to the side. And at this point now, of course, I wouldn't have added the chicken if I was doing vegetarian. And Claire, of course, knows that because she makes this often. And again, as she mentioned, you can use coconut yogurt instead of Greek yogurt. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you how I will set this. Say goodbye to the scales and go back to the home screen. And it would be 18 minutes. 18 minutes and 100. And reverse. So the Thermomix blade can stir anti-clockwise as well as clockwise. If it goes backwards, reverse, then the dull side of the blade actually is doing the stirring. It's very gentle stirring. So I'm just going to touch that, and then I would turn it on. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that what I do as well is before I actually make this, do this cooking step, I just give it a stir and mix up the ingredients in my Thermomix. I should be using my Thermomix spatula here. Let me do that. It's much easier. It's designed for the shape of the bowl. And here we are. It's just all nicely mixed, and you can see that the pieces of chicken are coated with the sauce, and that's ready to cook beautifully. So I'll leave that there. And now I can show you the one that we made just before we started here today. So what I've got here is I've got a beautiful bowl just to, oh my gosh, it's heavy. This is enough to serve 4 people really generously. There we are, it's a TM5 bowl, so my measuring cup came out, and you can tell I'm used to the new measuring cup sticking in the lid, which is wonderful. And so you're going to see this now. I'm just going to pour it into the bowl. I'll bring it a little closer. You want me to change hands? So everybody can see a bit more. So So you can see that beautiful sheen of oil on the top. That means it's perfectly cooked. And I've done this so many times that I know my chicken will be cooked perfectly. If you're not sure and you've not cooked this recipe before, just check that your chicken is cooked all the way through before you take it out of your Thermomix bowl and put it into the serving bowl. And then cook it another 2 to 5 minutes if you need to. So what we've got here is we've got a beautiful dish, beautiful Indian dish. Now I could actually keep that warm in a low oven, or if you have a thermo server insulated bowl, we could do that. And I could use this lovely flavored bowl to make my rice next. And I also have just a few little tiny sprigs of coriander that I saved so that I could have something to put on the top to make it look beautiful for you. So you'll be amazed to know that the video that we put up in 2010 actually has had 111,000 views. It is amazing and totally amazes me. And we thought it was about time to have this beautiful, beautiful dish on Facebook Live so that it can be up to date. And here I am in my sari, ready to serve. Oops, heavy on the shoulders, the sari, because of so much cloth. It's 6 meters of gorgeous cloth. And here we are, ready to serve chicken and yogurt. And let me just bring it back a little bit for you. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I hope that you will enjoy making this many times for your family in whatever versions and variations that you'd like to try. And please feel free, if you've just joined the video now, go back and watch it again. It'll be posted in my Facebook videos on Cook with Janie. And thanks very much, everyone, for coming on. It's been a real pleasure. Bye, everyone.